About 2 or 3 days ago, there was a very good post at the top of the Overwatch subreddit. It was a tweet by the former community manager of Blizzard. And the tweet was about one tricks. I'm going to pull this up here so you can see it. So Griffin Bennett tweeted, "Yay, I don't work for Blizz anymore, so I can finally say this. Anyone who doesn't work as a team when picking heroes deserves to be reported. Don't one-trick anything. It's selfish and a shitty thing to do to others." So there was some discussion about this on Reddit and Twitter. Most of the comments were agreeing with him. There were some popular or one-trick players that were saying, "Hey, this is not cool, this is not okay." And it seems like it is very easy to agree with him here, because there have been numerous posts on Reddit, on Twitter, on whichever social media you want, and discussion between your friends probably about how one-tricks are ruining the game. And I want to argue against it a little bit, because I don't think that one-tricks are ruining the game. I think the problem is much deeper than just one-tricks are the spawn of Satan and all should be banned, whatever else. And it's not because I'm a one-trick or I want to defend the one-tricks necessarily, but there's a lot of oversight when talking about this, and it has kind of turned into a circle jerk where people don't really talk about solutions anymore. They mostly talk about, hey, these people are bad and I don't like that. And then they get, upvotes for that or whatever you want to get there. So with this video, I want to achieve maybe the opposite of that. I want to go and talk about why this is happening and why the flaw is not with the one-tricks, but with the game itself. So let's get started here. There is one big argument that no one can fight against that comes from one-tricks as a defense. And neither you, nor me, nor anyone else except Blizzard can find a solution or an answer to this argument. And the argument is as follows. They bought the same product as you did, the same game that has a certain rule set for the competitive game mode, and as long as they abide by the rules that are made by the game company, in this case Blizzard, they are fine. They are not doing anything that is punishable or even reportable, stated by Blizzard's own rules. So anything they do, whether it's a Hanzo one-trick or Symmetra one-trick, is okay. And you might not agree with this, and this is also where a lot of this frustration comes from, but your reports against one-tricks are completely useless. As long as they are not trolling, so really throwing the game in the sense that they are building TPs on the side of the map with Symmetra so that their teams fall off, or, just jumping off the map, they can't be banned, and they shouldn't be, in my opinion. Because the moment you make this rule of you are not allowed to play this character only, you open up yourself to so many more problems than this game already has. Because then we get further into the discussion of who has the right to play what. And we're gonna get there today in a second here. But from a rule standpoint, one-tricks are not doing anything wrong. And the only ones that can change this rule set is Blizzard. I hope you can see now that one-tricks sometimes aren't doing it just because they want to troll you or anything like that. They just want to get the most enjoyment they can out of the game. And they're doing it in an okay way. You might not like it. It might not be the best way to win. It's frustrating as hell for everyone else, but it's okay by the rules of the game. So the only thing you can do right now at this moment is play a different game or go to quick play and play whatever you want without having to worry about elo or competitive points. Those are your options. Or what I'm doing, make a YouTube video about it and hope it reaches someone at Blizzard. Although I don't think so. Okay, so what are my proposed solutions? Because now we've stated the obvious, maybe not for everyone, but I hope that this clears up the whole two sides of this issue. I'm in the middle here. I'm just thinking about, okay, how can we solve this? So the first proposed solution, of course, is the role queue, which to me, at this point, is the only real solution that Blizzard can implement. And there has actually been an article, an interview with Jeff Kaplan about the topic of role queue, and he was much more negative about it, I'd say. He didn't like the idea too much. He had some arguments against it. And here are my arguments why the role queue would give us a boost when it comes to enjoyment, and the things we would lose through role queue wouldn't be necessarily that bad. So first of all, what would we gain through a role queue? A role queue would allow us to actually queue up for example, let's say 2 roles, a primary and a secondary, because we only have 3 roles. So you could just put the defense characters into offense like it should have been from the beginning. And then you get one of the 2 roles when you queue up for them. And you can only pick a character out of this set of characters, from the offense, tank, or support category. And you can play finally the role that you queue up for. You don't have to worry about talking or flaming someone else. The only problem that could come up then would be someone taking a character away from you. But we have that right now as well. So it's just, the same thing in League or in every other game. You just have to deal with that. And I think this is not that big of a problem. But what would we lose if a role queue was implemented? The most apparent thing we would lose is different metas and compositions of teams. And for me, this argument does not really stand its own ground with Overwatch. With other games, maybe, but with Overwatch, no. So since the beginning of esports in Overwatch, or the competitive seasons in Overwatch, we've had fairly set metas. The most popular in online competitive, has been 2-2-2, I think, because it's the easiest to communicate to everyone, and it works. It has a fairly good rate of success when you're playing with 5 people that you don't know. And things we would lose would, for example, be the triple tank meta that we've had, the quad tank meta, or triple quad DPS metas. And honestly, think to yourself, how fun is it to watch triple tank or quad tank or play against it in comp? Have you played against something like that in comp? It is not fun at all. It is not enjoyable at all, in my opinion. For me, I hate it. I just don't like it. It seems like such a cheap tactic often, and it's very often used to just roll people in overtime when you need to get one more point. So people don't expect that, and you just push and roll through them because they don't have enough damage output, for example. And we would lose stuff like that. I would be more worried about compositions like 3 DPS, 1 tank, 2 supports, which it seems like Blizzard is going for with the newest patch, maybe? I don't know. I still prefer 2-2-2. Even composition, everyone knows the rule set, and it's what we've been trying to play in online competitive for the past, 2 years. And the whole argument of people picking and choosing what they play and what they adapt and which character we need on this map and this team composition, that's just not happening in Overwatch. Overwatch is just not at this point of balancing right now. And I don't know if it will come to that. It would be great to go there. But for now, you have D.Va Winston every game, and it's been going on for months like this. Just think of the Mercy meta. You had Mercy every game for like 5 months. So no, the game is not at this point where you pick and choose characters or heroes you need in the comp. It's just not there. And for me, this is most apparent through the Overwatch League, where you often see the same team comps every single game with a few exceptions. Role queue seems like a good solution to this one trick problem or symptom that has been talked about for quite some time now. I'm gonna have to stop myself from rambling on about this issue for too long, since I want to keep this video as short as possible. So in the end, what's left to say for me is that yes, I think role queue is a good idea, or some way for people to queue up for what they want to play. I think if the game wants to go into an esports and more competitive direction, there need to be some mini reworks or big changes to characters like Winston, D.Va, Moira, Symmetra maybe. I think those need a bit more variety, and maybe some changes to all the tanks that make them more appealing as a role. And this design flaw that Overwatch has with this expectation of, well, people will be nice to each other. You know, you queue up for a game, you get into a lobby with 6 people or with 5 people that you don't know. And was Blizzard thinking, oh yeah, people will be nice to each other. Like they'll put on their top hats and their fedoras and they'll tip each other and they'll be like, oh, I can see you are a fellow Genji main. Your win rate is higher than mine, so I will give you Genji now. And he'll be like, oh yes, thank you, sir. It's just a fantastical utopia. You know, it's not realistic at all. And to me, it's a design flaw with the game. But you can't really blame them for that, right? Because it seems like Overwatch at the start was planned as a casual quick play game, with these story events being the main attraction of the game. So the esports and competitive side wasn't planned from the start. So this is where Blizzard needs to decide on the direction. And I think this is where all these supposedly one-trick problems stem from. I'm gonna end the video on the following note. Don't blame the one-tricks for ruining your games, because the fact of the matter is they can do this. You'll just lose nerves over it, you'll get annoyed at it, and it will be frustrating. But the silver lining here is that, first of all, there's quick play and the arcade, which is what I'm playing when I'm playing Overwatch now. Or there's a plethora of different games that don't offer exactly what Overwatch is offering, but they definitely offer a more competitive experience if you're looking for that. And it's kind of sad to me because I enjoy playing the characters in Overwatch. I like the concept. I love the story modes. I love most things about it. But the competitive mode, to me, is pretty flawed. And it's becoming more apparent with all the discussion with one tricks and wall queue gaining more traction, basically. So you need to decide for yourself if you want to go for, you know, another Overwatch game and another comp game where you will probably need to babysit 5 people, or if you just want to play a quick play game or something else entirely. And please don't think that I'm complaining about ranked being too hard or the possibility of not ranking up because of one tricks. That's not at all what I'm trying to say, because people who deserve top 500 or are in the Overwatch League or, you know, are really good at the game, they will get to top 500. No questions asked. It's been shown multiple times that they can do this on multiple accounts. So at least the game is competitive enough to allow for that. So there's not too much RNG factor there. But for the rest of the player base, which I think is the bigger part of the player base, that are not top 500, these issues become very apparent. And even in top 500, there have been cases of one tricks and pro players getting annoyed at them, flaming them. Most recently, that comes to mind, the effect ban, for example, where he flamed the Symmetra one trick. But I can't recall the details exactly. I'll link to the article below the video. But in every rank you can do this and see these problems. But like I said, if you're good enough, you will get to the rank that you deserve. The question is, do you have the skill, but also the mental strength to put yourself through the ranked system in Overwatch? Because it is more frustrating than something like CSGO, where you can just mute everyone and carry on your own, or League of Legends, where you can actually snowball. In Overwatch, you have to work together at least a little bit with your team. And for a big part of the player base, this is slowly starting to seem like more work than fun. Not in the sense that they don't take the game seriously, but in the sense that managing your teammates and trying to somehow work with them is just becoming frustrating and too frustrating. For me, certainly the fun factor in Overwatch from the competitive side of the game has been diminishing season by season. Thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear some of your inputs in the comments, and have a nice day.